introduce ourselves. I'm Ian McKellar. I'm chair of the planning board.
Oh,
Do you
Heidi
introduce
Smith.
yourself?
Sure, Heidi Smith, I'm the secretary.
And the town clerk.
I'm the town clerk.
Mike McQuaid.
I'm John Casserly.
Siggy Bar.
Mask. And the UPA.
Bill Myers, I'm planning board member.
And Betsy.
Let's see, we need to review the agenda and there's a change or two to be made. We got an email over the weekend or this morning.
Late Friday.
From the folks with the Grassy Grove solar project on the Hayes Farm. Requesting their allowed 12-month extension, which we would have to approve. And so under old business, we will tuck that in there. And we have a quorum, so we could vote on that. Any other changes to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So our agenda's ready. Next item on our agenda is the period of public comment. If people have something to say. You're gonna be quiet tonight, Margaret? I figured you'd have something to say. I'm almost disappointed.
Oh, Margaret, come on. Say something.
You're losing your edge. Approval of the previous meeting minutes.
We don't.
We don't. They're
I
only,
left on there,
they're 12 months old. So we will have to table that. Old business.
You're not tabling it because you don't have anything to approve.
Oh,
I just left, I didn't know.
Oh,
So
okay.
you're just none.
nothing, okay. The old business, the Grassy Grove, has asked for the site plan approval extension. Which would be effective today as long as we approve it. I can give you a quick read. Whereas the Town of Canton Planning Board granted a conditional site plan approval to Grassy Grove Solar East LLC project November 6th of 2023. The applicant on January 23rd of 2023 for the purpose of a new 5.0 megawatt solar power generation facility located at 268 State Highway 310, Canton, New York. Tax ID 74.004-7-73. And whereas the applicant is requesting an extension of the conditional site plan approval. Now therefore be it resolved that the site plan approval heretofore granted on November 6, 2023 shall be amended as follows. The approval granted by the Town Planning Board on November 6th of 2023 shall be valid for a period of 2 years from the date it is issued unless the applicant applies in writing to the planning board for a 1-year extension at least 30 days prior to the initial expiration period. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be filed in the office of the Town of Canton Town Clerk within 5 days of the date of this resolution and shall be mailed to the applicant within the same 5-day period. The foregoing resolution was voted upon with members of the Town of Canton Planning Board voting and signing as follows. Is there any discussion?
Just to verify, this was the backfield, not the,
Correct.
we did not approve the front field.
You're right. And in their communication with us, they said that the reason that they need the extension is they're still having trouble with the DOT and with National Grid with getting approvals from all of those places. And so they have not been allowed to start yet.
Hmm.
I'm fine with it.
So
I'll vote yes.
I'm gonna vote yes too.
Sure, that's fine. I'm with you.
Me too.
How are you gonna sign, Betsy? We
Somebody will
have
have to
enough on-
sign for me.
An abstention.
We have enough. We
Okay,
have enough.
But Bill for a first, for a motion to review this and then you
Oh.
for a second.
That works.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
We gotta make a motion.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make
this?
that motion.
No, so.
All in favor, aye, say aye. Aye.
aye.
I
And you got a pen?
got it. I sign on this one?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah, sorry.
We'll get the inside jokes probably on our second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna tell you that.
You'll be the butt of them.
Heidi's good at parliamentary procedures, I know that already. She's keeping everybody on her toes.
Seems like I had a date.
That's a skill.
Oh,
Seriously.
I don't see one. No, I don't.
Oh,
That's
right here.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
always good. That guy is the legislature. Pretty good at parliamentary procedure.
I sat here one legislator was in a meeting, he was really good on that.
Do we need Siggy to
No.
sign that?
No,
We've got
We
a
have a-
we've
quorum.
got a quorum. You
We
don't
have a
need me.
quorum without it.
Yeah. I'm superfluous.
Not in our hearts.
You're right.
Does she normally sign when everybody's here? Or no?
No.
Okay,
Only if we need me.
only if needed.
So I guess that's all the old business. We're on to the new business. The pre-application meeting with Lodestar Energy for a new solar project on Jingleville Road. You guys are on.
Great. All right. How would you like to start this? We usually give a bit of an introduction about us before we get into the project. That's appropriate. Great. Well, thanks for meeting us on short notice here. I know that I was just calling Mike McQuaid just a couple weeks ago to get this scheduled, so we really appreciate it. We're Lodestar Energy. As we talked about before the meeting started, we're based out of West Hartford, Connecticut now. We've got a satellite office out in New York City. We're about 20 people strong,
Maybe 17.
17-ish people strong.
Big
We're-
time operation.
We're a small solar development shop. We don't take on a ton of projects per year, but the ones that we do, we like to, give them the best shot that we can. We've been around since 24.
11 years, maybe I should say.
Yeah, so I'm one of the founders. My name is Jamie Smith. I'm one of the founders. We started the company about 11 years ago. We own 42 solar farms. We tend to like to develop them and keep them. We do sell some occasionally. But we are what you call a full-scale developer. We find the land, hopefully entitle it with help from folks like you, finance the project, build it, and then own and operate it. So we have this fleet in basically New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire. Right now, we're a pretty regional group. We don't have any outside money. It's me and my partners have started the business with our own money, and we don't have any private equity or anybody else founding or backing us in any way. I mean, yeah, we're excited to come in here. I think having a list of what you're giving us to do is, makes sense, and nothing, you're not afraid of it. It looks like it's a lot of work, but we'd love to work with you guys, and we're gonna be, if there's one thing about our company, we're gonna be very communicative about what's going on. We're gonna give you updates and tell you what's happening when it's happening. We take a lot of pride in that, and so folks like Adam and Eli, we hire people who aren't trying to hide the ball, but are gonna be good communicators to you guys. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Could you tell us how you came to pick Wilford's Place for a project?
Yeah, I
These guys-
can tell you. And yeah, just a bit about us. So I'm the main project developer, Adam Rolls, another project developer, Eli Abassi here with me. I introduce us because we got Jamie here for this initial meeting, but you'll be looking at our mugs for the next 6 months probably. Plus, as we develop the project, we'll be the ones coming in and out of the town. We found the project just because, I mean, as it stands here in New York, we're about nearly 10 years into this solar program here, and with National Grid, there's really only a couple stations that have open capacity left in the state. And Canton is one of them. And you know, we didn't do a full campaign to find landowners in Canton at all. I got on the map, I looked at, you know, Wilfred's property. I said, yeah, that's a great candidate for a solar site, and I called him up. And he was willing to meet with me the next Monday. So I drove out here, middle of a snowstorm to meet him back, you know, at the beginning of February. And that's sort of how the inception of this project started. You know, we were just out standing in the field talking about where he'd like to put things, you know, where it might make sense to put things. And that's sort of how we led ourselves here. We're really early on in the development of this project. I mean, we're just, you know, we're just signing the real estate agreement with Mr. Eshman, you know, this week, really. That's why we kind of wanted to get out in front of you guys as well. We just started the 4-month coordinated electric system interconnection review. I know it's a mouthful, but you guys probably heard it a couple times before already. With National Grid, we should get our results back probably by the beginning of June. That'll tell us how much it's going to cost to connect us to the grid, but you know, we're feeling pretty comfortable about it. I mean, the circuit that we're on, the 13.2 kV circuit, and the station is pretty open. So we're thinking we're liking our chances of being able.
Open for one more.
Open for one
One more
Just open
project.
for one more project.
One project's gonna get in, and then the door will be closed.
Yeah, pretty much. So there's one person ahead of us that might not have introduced themselves yet. They're at a different part of town than us. But I think after that, that's about it for the system.
Unless the system gets upgraded.
Yeah, I mean, then that's $13 million,
Right.
and the National Grid's got to buy land beside that substation and do a whole project. So probably not gonna be looking at solar again for another probably 5-10 years at the very least. After this project, if you choose to have us move forward. Yeah, so I mean, the project that we're presenting here, you know, I know Wilfred's land a bit now that I've been there. I think just 2 times now, but I'm assuming most of you in this room know the property a lot better than myself. So the property is owned by Wilfred and Paula Eshman. Marianne Eshman's got life estate of the property as well, who lives there too. Wilfred's really excited about doing a solar project. You know, right now he just uses the property for his cows. I got to meet them pretty intimately as they called me around the property a couple months ago. But he wants to find a second use for the property as well. You know, as you can tell, small time dairy farmers, you know, they're kind of getting boxed out here in New York State. These tariffs aren't really making it much easier either. So he's looking for a different use of this property, and you know, what we've been able to offer him is definitely really enticing, and he'd like to see if we could take a crack at developing this thing. You know, to put the critical details first, I mean, the reason we're here so early is because, you know, our property, it's zoned R. And what we would need right off the bat, to really consider this.
RA.
RA, thank you. Thanks, Mike. It's zoned RA. Thanks, Eli. It's right here down Minor Street, nearly at the end of that zone here. And then the Rich Road project is immediately adjacent to us, occupying these ones here. So, you know, what we would like to find out a bit more in this meeting is how you feel about a potential land use variance for this parcel. And if you don't feel very strongly about it, you know, what can we do to make this a really compelling case for you guys? I think the property as it sits right now, it's, in my biased opinion, because obviously I want this to move forward, it's a pretty good candidate because, I mean, we've got nearly 270 degrees of screening already. Really, the only view shed that you can see from Minor Street Road is really in the northeast corner of the property. And I believe that's Marion's property right there as well. A lot of the other neighbors, they already have a pretty decent tree line that screens it from the road. What we'd love to do is to bring in some 7-8 foot plantings there and continue to screen it off of Minor Street Road in order to hide the project.
So there's a
better.
fence in back of the houses that are on Minor Street Road, right across from Woodmere.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell from the map, will the solar panels come to the fence line?
No, we want to try and push it as
Yeah.
far back as possible
far
towards
back
the
is it?
wetland. Well, right now
Approximately.
it's at least about like as it's designed, it's
Yeah.
probably sitting about 400 or 500 feet from Minor Street Road.
Okay.
We want to push that as far as we can towards the wetland on the west side of the property. Our wetland delineation that we'll do once the season opens up in a couple of weeks will really tell us how close we can get to that wetland. I'm willing to bet that we're probably gonna get wetlands coming in and intruding on the western side of the property, probably up to where you see the scrub showing, underneath our modules there. So once we do the delineation is when we're really gonna understand what we can play with on the property and where we can situate the array. Yes,
Are they have you dictated what the wetlands are they federal or state?
not yet, no. So the season opens in a couple of weeks. The DEC, they do have new wetland regulations as well. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that'll be spent
90 days.
90 day.
90 days on top of that, and then another 30.
Oh, yeah, 90-day jurisdictional determination process,
Yeah.
and it sounds like the DEC is gonna be taking up domain over most wetlands, and I'm willing to bet with that 110 acre wetland that's just to the west of our site, probably gonna take domain over the wetlands intruding in here. We might have a couple isolated ones pop on the site, those are probably gonna be USACE unless they're connected to any major wetlands. What we do have in our back pocket, which is a new mechanism that the DEC is introducing, is, a wetland enhancement plan.
Yeah.
So if you delineate the whole property, you find that 50% of it's wet, the other 50% is not, and say you've got maybe 20% of your project area that's in wetlands, you can go and submit a wetland enhancement plan to go and basically create the wetlands that exist on your project site in the dry areas that haven't been delineated that you
replicate them.
Yes, pretty much. That'll cost us probably about $20,000 to do that plan and submit to both yourselves and the DEC to get approval on that. Probably gonna take about 12 weeks to go and undertake that after we do the delineation, after we do the 90-day review as well. So that's,
I want to see that 90-day review.
yeah,
That's what I want to see.
you're skeptical about them getting back in time?
Literally.
One would assume, right, that, 90 days, everyone and their sisters submitting new JDs after wetland delineations, and they only have so many employees. We did submit a JD for a different project that's down in Orange County, New York, on January 2nd, and we got our jurisdictional determination on April 2nd. So they did obey that 90-day window for that one, but they also, that site has some endangered species and some wetlands and some floodplains, so they probably gave that one a big prioritization over some of the other ones.
Yeah, because they said the guy I talked to, he said they were just inundated with them.
Yeah,
They're gonna have to hire. I mean, if you can hold that 90 days, you're gonna have to.
Yeah,
hire
they're all going
staff.
through the Albany office,
yeah,
next.
oh yeah, and if you imagine, like, you dealt with like the Army Corps JDs of the last couple of years, they take their sweet time with those as well. I've had to wait up to 12 months for a JD in the Army Corps. So this is a bit better, although them taking
Yeah.
domain over these wetlands, meaning that they're gonna apply setbacks to everything that is in their domain. We can disturb up to 1 acre of the wetlands that is within it without any, need to trigger a permit, but anything above that, we need to do an enhancement plan. So we really don't know just yet
Okay.
what we're looking at on the property. If you can take a look at some of the spotting on our site plan area, we could see some areas where, maybe that one's on a rainy day. We could see some areas pop up in the discoloration, some isolated wetlands that they're on the property. It looks dry right now when I drove by it, but once you get a heavy rain in there, it's probably gonna get a little swampy.
And the wetland guys are looking at the plant types and they're doing all that, right? They're not just looking at whether it's wet or dry.
Yeah. So, hopefully we'll pray to the wetland gods that, we don't get too much pop up on our property, but, provided that we don't end up with a whole lake, we feel pretty good that we should be able to submit a plan that gets us the project size
Did you
that we're looking
walk
for.
out there, lately?
Yeah, well, I walked out there 2 months ago and I was in about
But-
2.5 feet of snow.
So, but not right now.
Yeah.
He just went over there today, though.
Yeah, I went over there. I got some photos by the roadside just
Oh.
to see just what the view
You
shed
didn't
looked like.
you didn't go out in, on the.
No, no.
You should.
I should get out there.
Yeah, because if it's gonna be wet, now's when.
Yeah,
Now's gonna be wet,
That's just
yeah.
the best time to look at it.
Yeah, maybe we'll go over there.
Mhm.
Sun goes down around
Yeah.
7:30 here now, so might have some time to get out there.
Yeah.
Go pay Walker.
Cause I know the houses that are on Minor Street Road, across from Woodmere have had some water problems.
Yeah.
Seeping from that field.
Yeah.
That you guys are gonna deal with.
Yeah.
And I know that there was, the first house, I can't describe it best, well, if you're standing in front of Woodmere and looking through this project, it's the the first house, there's 3 houses there.
Okay,
And that house had to have a whole landscaping project, a new culvert put in, they had a mess of a water problem.
oh, they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time, and but they got a good
Which one?
it's the house closer to town. Where's Woodmere? Right here. Here's Woodmere. It's this one. This one right here. This one.
This
See?
one right
See
here
the-
at the pool?
1, 2.
Looks like a pool. It's right over there.
Not this one. Let's see. There should be 3 houses here.
Yeah,
No, I see just 2. This the house that's right.
okay. So they needed to do a full landscaping plan to be able to get what they wanted out of it?
It's right at the curve.
Yeah.
It's right at the curve of the road.
Yeah, and they're facing stormwater runoff from Wilford's property there?
Yes,
Yeah, pretty heavy?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that tells us that we're probably gonna get some wetland somewhere.
And I know that, that they had the last house before you get to Jingleville Road, I think they had to put a ditch in the back and bring it to the stream, because it's the stream that goes right on, there's a big culvert in the road
Yeah.
right by Jingleville and Minor Street.
Yeah.
Road. And that, you know,
And that
takes all that water from that big one. the
Yeah.
big- That one too, that flows into that culvert.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Two, it drains 2 major deals.
Yeah, so there is something that we can probably do about that. I mean, let's see if I got my plans from Cott in my bag. We did a project, we're just actually about to start building it.
Detention ponds.
Yeah, detention ponds and
Yeah.
swales. Let's see,
You can
see if I can, there we go.
This is in Union, this is a project in Union, New York.
Yeah, we got a project in Union, down in Binghamton, and this is a big stormwater issue site as well, because it's on a boot. And basically, stormwater flows down on each side, on the property. So what we, there's a plan. So what we are actually got approved there is we ended up investing an extra $100,000 into stormwater detention ponds and swales to redirect the existing stormwater on the property into some detention ponds, that's downgrade from it, in order to help mitigate the stormwater runoff that already existed on the property before we even put the solar array in. And that's something that we could probably do on this property as well. You know, we can find some creative ways to detain some of the stormwater that's already on the property before it flows off into some of the neighbors' property, and maybe try to improve the situation a bit.
The reason I'm talking like this, because I live right down the road from here,
Yeah.
so I watch this, I watch the water.
Yeah.
Big on, there's a lot of, there's just a lot of.
There's a lot of it. So, you know, we might end up doing a delineation and not have much space to work with anyways. But if there was a situation that we could mitigate, you know, we'd be more than happy to do something like that. You know, add some detention ponds, add some swales to get creative about how we manage the stormwater on the property. But before we even get to that point, I mean, our biggest risk here, and why we're here early, is because we're gonna need a use variance for this site, as it's RA, as Mike mentioned. And you know, really, this question is directed towards our ZBA member here as well. And I guess I'll just be sort of pointed. You know, do you believe that, you know, with everything that we've said about this project and this site, that this could be a potential candidate for a zoning variance? You know, being adjacent to the Rich Road project and the screening that it already has there on the property?
Well, it's not up to me to make the determination alone, but it seems like, there's potential.
Okay. Okay.
I
That's,
mean, I don't know what other boards would be involved. I get the town, the
County
county
planning
was,
board, maybe.
County
the
planning
county board
St.
might be
Lawrence County.
involved.
Yeah.
And then we don't even look at it till they're done with it, if they're required to be involved.
oh, you do a GML referral out to them, we go in front of the county planning board to start.
Once you send the information to myself, in normal cases, without a variance, they come to myself. I would have to refer it to the county planning board to have their information, their meeting and everything. And then their comments and everything will come back to the planning board in normal cases. Now, this is where it's gonna get tricky for you, because there's gonna be a couple of questions I'm gonna have to ask the main guy.
Yes.
In this case, it's gonna be a variance. It would go, due to the fact, the only thing that triggers this to be to go to the county, and I'm gonna have to look, it's within 500 feet of an agricultural parcel. Maybe, I
Okay,
gotta see where it lands. Because that's the only thing that would trigger it to go to the county if
Okay.
it's near an agricultural district,
Okay,
Meaning the parcel or meaning the solar farm?
the
The
parcel.
parcel.
The
okay,
parcel, not the farm,
Alright.
the
So
parcel.
we can't do anything about it. It's either gonna
Yeah,
be in
it's-
or,
yeah,
it's gonna be in or out, that's all.
yeah, and the only,
So-
oh, go ahead.
So if I send it to the county, the county does their formal review. It would come back to the ZBA. All right? And this is where it's gonna get kind of tricky is the ZBA would be doing the meeting for the variance application. But at the same time, I would believe because the ZBA is going to be the lead agency, it would make them handle the seeker.
Okay,
Maybe. I'm thinking they would because they're the lead agency. They're gonna be the lead board because they have to grant you a variance. Then after that variance is granted, if it's granted, the ZBA and the planning can talk on who wants to do the seeker, but I'm thinking the ZBA being the lead agency for the seeker review, and then would come to the planning board for the rest. I mean, that's something we have to look at.
okay. And given, I mean, we're directly abutting the Rich Road Solar Project, and that, before it was solar, it was.
That's a 94C project. We ain't got nothing to say about that.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally understood, but depending on where they're at with the construction of the project, if they haven't started construction yet, those parcels are technically still in agricultural districts, unless they've done the pilot and gotten themselves out of the
Yeah,
district.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about one on Minor Street.
Okay,
There's a parcel on Minor Street that's in an ag district,
okay,
and I just don't know how close you are to it.
Okay.
That's what I'm just saying,
yeah.
I gotta look at.
Yeah, and the implications for us is more significant than they might seem too, because if we have to do the seeker process in sequence with the ZBA meeting, just to be honest, that leads to us having to do a lot more work and spending more money in order to get to that point where we could have a binary risk to our project, whether ZBA grants us this variance or not. We do a wetland delineation, we coordinate with State Historic Preservation Office, Office of Parks, Historical Preservation, FAA, you name it. And then we come back with all of our findings. We could be investing quite a bit into this project just to be told that, this isn't a good parcel for the ZBA to rule on. What we'd like to do, if possible, is to try and get in front of the ZBA earlier in the process to see whether the parcel is the right fit for the type of development that we're trying to do. And if it is, then proceed through seeker and special use permit process.
Now, the other question, because you have normal variances, there's 4 things you have to.
Criteria.
Yeah,
Are you guys gonna use a public utility variance?
we can certainly try. That'll likely be our main mechanism, is the public utility variance. Although the demonstrating hardship is probably one of the 4, that's gonna be the toughest one to get out of, because, I mean, we're electing to change the use of this land.
Yeah.
We obviously didn't have to, but we feel compelled to, and the landowner feels compelled to as well. So I think that would be the most challenging of the 4 to get past. Now, we can get our legal counsel involved and try to make up a significant case. But, if we get to the point where it just doesn't seem like this is gonna pass, we'd much rather walk away from the project earlier on than, spend $80,000 just to find out that.
Yeah, I mean, our whole business is finding fatal flaws early. It's our whole business. If you're not good at that.
No, I'm not,
we're not
I'm just trying to.
No, I mean, it sounds like the county thing becomes very important that we, because that puts a ton of cost on us and work on us. Only now, then have a coin flip as to whether we can get the variance.
Yeah,
So I think that's an important thing to understand quickly. I
right,
think it's a much more attractive if we don't have to go that route.
right. The domain of the county planning board isn't based too much on the mets and bounds of the property, but whether the use is going to be a net benefit to the town or not, based on a bunch of different criteria. But specifically how it's cited and its justification for rezoning the property really lies within the ZBA's power, from what I understand.
I wanna make a couple of comments. The county's gonna turn you guys down.
You think?
It's a done deal.
Okay.
They've turned down every project we've looked at except for one.
Oh, and then you overrode.
And we had to had a super majority vote to overrule them.
Okay.
Because they got told basically by the county legislature that they didn't want more farmland being taken up with solar panels. And so in recent history, they've been turning them down one after the other.
Okay,
So if we didn't go through the county, you wouldn't have to have a super majority here, you'd have to just have a majority.
Correct. But if they turn it down, then we have to have a super majority.
Okay.
I don't know if that applies for the zoning board too. Another question I have for you.
Sure.
Did you hear what happened just before you guys started your presentation?
no,
Oh, we heard you, the next stamp project.
That project was the last one that we approved,
Yeah, then it's still waiting around.
and that was in 23.
Yeah, so, and only one of the two survived, they.
Correct.
Two, yeah.
And they are still negotiating with National Grid and the DOT.
I'm trying to understand how they would need to negotiate with National Grid if they already paid their interconnection deposits. Usually takes about 8 months for them to complete those upgrades, providing not rebuilding the station.
This is what they told us.
DOT, if it's on a state route.
Oh, it is.
Oh, then they need to follow up with as.
But they specifically in their email said that they were still
Basically,
negotiating.
NIMO was dragging their.
It was nice for you
Negoti-
guys to give them an extension, we were happy to see that. you did
Well, we've-
reject their extension. That was
Yeah,
nice.
that, we've done that before.
Yeah,
You know,
it always takes more time, yeah.
yeah. People jump through all the hoops to get that far.
Right.
What's another year?
Yeah.
But I guess I'm gonna give you guys the heads up to make sure that you can have it happen with National Grid.
Yeah.
Because it clearly isn't happening very quickly
Yeah,
for,
that Caesar process he
Or-
described will tell us, A, can it happen, and B, how much would it cost within, and then they have a plus or minuses within, I'm having a hard time understanding, they've got, something's changed for them if they can't get a clear answer from Grid, they should have a clear answer.
Yeah,
yeah, because those folks seem to know what they were doing.
Yeah, and Next's a
And-
good company.
And it still hasn't happened.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't anticipate anything that they're doing specifically to hold it up. Because that's
Yeah.
unless they're counting on like a substation upgrade or something, they're counting on something that needs National Grid.
You can see a substation from that field.
Yeah, they may need it.
It could be the 3V0 upgrade. The people at the station's only 13 megawatts and the station capacity is 27.
Sometimes they have to do upgrades and then that's a whole
Yeah.
nother.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like getting a decision and understanding whether the county's gotta be involved is pretty important
Yes.
for us here. Sounds like getting
Yeah.
as quickly as we can get that, because, yeah, it puts a bunch of additional costs and then also puts a higher barrier to a supermajority here and a supermajority in the ZBA. So I think that's really important information for us to go back and noodle on it.
And like the gentleman said, I mean, you're right. Once EDF puts those solar panels on those properties, that ag thing is gone.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it's still an ag district right today.
Yeah.
You
What's
know, EDF's not gonna be in till 2027,
Oh, so they're not building until
or
2027.
2026.
Okay. Yeah, so they're not gonna take those out of the egg district until right before they start construction then, or else, unless they wanna pay a whole lot more taxes for that year.
I don't
Probably
think
not
so. I
gonna
think
do
you're
that.
smart enough
But
to.
well, I'll look into it, I'll get back to you, but I
Okay.
just wanted,
Yeah.
but Ian's right, the county,
They're gonna kill us just.
they're gonna
because-
do you up.
Okay.
So you spend all that time and money and they tell you no, when we know that going in, that's, okay.
Well, seeing that writing on the wall, is there anything that we can do during the development of the project that can help? How could I say it? Help convince the ZBA that, this is a type of development that makes sense for this property, whether it's adding a bunch of screening to the project, whether it's doing some stormwater management for the neighbors, whether it's helping in going out to each of the neighbors that are the most affected, on Minor Street Road and seeing what we can do to bring them on board to the project as well. If we can go, it's not the first time I've been door knocking, getting screamed at in my face, trying to sell people on a solar project. It won't be the last. And we're happy to do that as
Offer
well.
the town residents, a piece of the solar. I don't know if you've done any community solar, if you guys have done any programs where the residents of the town can buy, savings from each, solar farm. We can do those kinds of things as well.
But they talked about that, but I don't think we see
We
that.
haven't had that.
Yeah, people can subscribe to these projects, get 10% off the utility bill right off the bat. Yeah, industries as well.
You would offer that to the town of Canton?
Of course, I'm surprised you haven't signed up already.
Not only we'd offer it to the town with your own buildings, but then you could also offer it to your residents as well.
Well, I mean, even if you didn't, revealing my naiveness here, this is a good site. I mean, this is masked pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this place.
Thank you.
You're not gonna be able to see this hardly from the
That's
road.
what we try to do.
Seems like it's in a
We-
good,
That's what we try to do.
You-
We try, and you have to think about, we only find land where it's, if the farmer could do something more productive with the land, he would do it.
Yeah, it's pretty marginal.
Yeah, well,
it's all sandy and.
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
it's sandy.
That's why it's a good can, another good reason.
If it was good farmland,
It would be farmed.
correct,
Right, it's hay,
and marginal hay at
marginal hay,
that.
it's pasture. Yeah.
And it's a whole lot less visible than what's next door to me.
Oh, you're living right next door to one?
Well, yeah, it's 1,000 feet away.
Okay.
We can see it from our
Can you
backyard.
hear it?
No.
Except for the alarm.
What?
Early on,
Oh, they had alarms.
they had an alarm system that if a motion detector picked up motion, regardless of,
Some sound, like a squirrel runs by and
it was a broadcast message saying that you were trespassing and leave the property immediately.
the squirrels listen.
Well, I don't know if the squirrels would trigger it, but the deer sure would.
Yeah.
And we'd hear it at our house at 3 o'clock in the morning and stuff, because a deer walked by over there. We had to put a stop to that.
Yeah, we can give our sound system a Canadian accent. It'll be a lot less.
Eh?
Be a lot less intruding. Oh, sorry for bothering
Is it
you.
bilingual?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Apologize, it's my fault.
yeah, so we're sorry, but we're gonna broadcast a message.
We're not gonna have any lighting on the property. We're not gonna have any sound systems or anything. That's not, unless you require us to, but we definitely don't want to be doing that. Have a 7-foot tall agricultural fence. It's gonna look as unimposing as
And
possible.
the inverters make the sound of a refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but we're gonna be, all our inverters are gonna be several hundred feet away from the closest property boundary as well. We'll be smart about how we wire the thing, for sure. Access road, I mean, Wilfred's already got most of the access road already built there. We're gonna be adding some geosol material, some compacted gravel.
Right at that corner there.
Yeah, right at the corner, 20 Jingleville, that road that he goes up, that goes up to his pasture, we're just gonna improve upon that. Where the poles are gonna run, we're gonna set the poles. Right now, it looks like the poles are coming off Minor Street. I think a better plan is to just have the poles, inland, maybe about 200 feet from the parcel and, north of Jingleville, and have them maybe run in here, right in front of this tree line here, so that nobody else can really see them. I think that's probably the smartest thing. Those are the hardest things to hide really with these projects, is the poles.
They make us put so many of them up too, it's silly, because they make us put, they won't put multiple pieces of equipment on one pole, so they make us put at least three poles.
Yeah. Yeah, one town made us bank half of our equipment on one pad, and then so that we could reduce the amount of poles. Happy to do that too.
What's the size of the parcel total and what's the size of the array?
Good question. So the parcel itself, I think it's about 72 acres in total.
Put us somewhere.
82.98.
82, I was off by
And then
10.
And
We're-
fenced area is 24.
Yeah, about,
Yeah,
I'd say
24, yeah.
the system is about 23 acres if we can get up to 5 megawatts at 3.3, where the other one is designed. I think it's sitting around 20, just because we've increased our row spacing there a bit more.
27 feet
20,
in a row space.
So
Yeah.
between 20 and 24 acres of the 82 or something? is that what
yeah,
you're
the 82.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's just for the panels?
that's just for the
saying?
panels.
No, yeah, the footprint.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the footprint, the panels, the access road,
And
the
the fence
interconnection
and
poles.
the electrical.
What
Yeah.
type of panels?
Right now, it's a bit of a moving target. Right now, we're using, what are the
Yes,
ones?
Silfab, 580s, so 580 megawatts.
Five hundred eighty watts.
Watts, excuse me.
180 watts out of Oregon and Washington right now.
Bifacial trackers or?
I think we
Right-
got the, did you have?
Right now, we're doing bifacial. If it gets a little wonky with the wetlands, we might go to a fixed system in order to get around them a bit better. But right now, it looks like there's enough space to do a pretty clean tracker project. The panels, the Silfabs, they're made in USA as well, so we're gonna try and
South
source
Carolina as
everything we
well.
can made in USA.
Yeah, so-
That's not because of the tariffs, because we want to, but definitely now because the tariffs are gonna be doing that. So that's really what we're using. The racking can be a bit flexible. Usually you select the racking based on how the site looks. With this site, I mean, Jamie, you're gonna get mad. I use this joke all the time. It's really flat. You can watch your dog run away for days. So we're pretty,
Some kind of Canadian expression I never heard before.
Yeah. so
We
we got
use it all the time.
we got a lot of flexibility over what we can add to the site, but with single access, I mean, it's less posts being driven into the ground. If some of the areas get a little soggy, we might have to do a drill and grout, which is, pouring a bit of concrete in there to keep our modules, in place. But other than that, it's not gonna be, once we get past the wetlands and, hopefully the zoning variance, it's a pretty
I mean, the
simple
construction, this project is like 3 months. Once you start construction, it's really going quick. It's just driving posts.
Yeah.
The electrical's not very much.
Yeah, provided DOT and National Grid doesn't hold you up, it's usually pretty quick. That's why we're surprised the next dam hasn't been able to get off the ground. I think it's probably a station upgrade that's pushing them. Usually station upgrades will take 14, 16 months, where the typical distribution upgrades take about 8. So yeah, I mean, I'm saying, this is a simple project, but usually these things, it's only maybe 8 or 9 pieces of equipment. What makes them complex is the relationships and who's around them. So we're gonna work, our darn best to make sure that we keep everyone happy.
Anybody else have questions for him?
Putting sheep on in some places, they're asking us to do that. We're just starting in a couple of areas now doing sheep, and then I'm also a beekeeper and they're asking us to do pollinator mixes in some of the places as well. So we're starting to see more and more of that.
We have an apiary going in on our.
Union one and sheep, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
I'm terrified of bees and I have to be responsible. for that.
So how do you take care of the growth, the vegetative? growth?
Otherwise, we normally mechanically, we go out,
Hire somebody local to do that?
yeah, so it has to be, makes sense.
Oh,
Wilford
Wilford would
definitely
do, oh,
wants
he
to.
is.
Oh, yeah, he loves more
We
money.
do that in some places, we'll let that, but he has to have insurance and he has to be bonded and all the things that we need him to be able to do, but
Okay.
it's 2 or 3 times a year and it's
Yeah.
weed beating and weed whacking and all that, so.
Yeah.
And we monitor remotely, we'll literally know if it grows up and starts to affect the production, because we'll know sun's shining, but we're not getting as much electricity, and we can tell if there's a problem. If the tree falls, we can tell, or if the motor is broken, we remotely monitor. The group that we work with remotely monitors 580 solar farms right now. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So usually if something breaks down on the property, we want to get out there and get it fixed as quickly as possible. All these modules are connected in series, so if one goes down, you end up losing.
Our average right now in our fleet is 5.8 days from the time it's identified and the time it's fixed is 5.8 days. But because it's just money, you don't get them fixed.
Is there somebody gonna be there every day or? is it-
No,
Wilford will.
Wilford's you're gonna hire him to
Not for the,
caretake?
not for the operations, but for the maintenance, like
Yeah.
for the groundskeeping. I think he's a good candidate to at least try with, and if he can't get situated properly, we could try a different landowner in the area, or we could outsource it to a company that does these things, but we typically like to keep the business local.
Did he say he wanted to do it?
Oh, yeah, Wilfred, yeah, an extra 10-ish, 20 grand a year to cut the lawn on his own property.
So
Absolutely.
remember now, ask Wilford for some ground beef, some
Oh,
steak.
yeah.
He's highly regarded as his meat.
His beef is good, all right.
And now he's gonna be adding an extra cost to his beef, because it's gonna be solar beef now, so.
Jeez. He won't be
Premium.
quiet about this.
Yeah, he has a couple ideas.
Doesn't have some bragging rights here.
He had asked if we could jack up the modules to have his cows feed underneath it.
Sure.
And
There was-
no.
If it was,
doing
yeah, if it was
Sisters,
sheep,
no.
if it was sheep, that's one thing.
They
The
start
cows-
itching themselves on the panels and then.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing a study out in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that-
there's a big
was
one. I did see that.
that Matt Solar Farm out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool project out there.
They
The
still,
only reason I know is EDF.
they still
Yeah.
are they're still raising them and it's expensive.
Yeah.
That steel and
Yeah.
it's very expensive. And there are people that New Jersey's got programs that have crops underneath them, but they put them so high in the sky that it costs us it's a ridiculous amount to build.
Yeah.
And then you have wind load issues and it's a whole thing, so.
Cows are rough.
Cows are rough.
Cows are rough, yeah, yeah.
You need to drill
Even
through all
goats,
those.
you know, goats because of the wire and they stand on the panels and they see the wire, so it's sheep.
Yeah.
Sheep's about it.
Yeah.
And some of the sheep, on the trackers have gotten like caught and people have like,
Yeah.
you know, chopped up sheep.
We could do wild rabbits.
So-
Yeah, goats are more like guerrilla warfare terrorists to solar projects, but other types of animals can be more accommodating. Yeah. Now I know I'm speaking to the planning board, but you know, one of the questions that hasn't come up so far is, you know, how do you want to tax us and what did you want to see for one of those listed community host benefit agreement?
You guys have a standard or have something you guys have done? so
We-
can-
We have nothing to do with that.
Oh, that's town board.
Yes.
Is there a record of what they've asked others to pay? Will we know, be able to figure out what that is so we can model that?
They'll all have agreements. They've all
Yours
have
will be
monetary-
special, you get to pay more.
Okay.
It's been 2 years, we gotta make up something. No, unfortunately, your legal team and our legal team are gonna have to have conversation.
Okay. Do you guys usually go through St. Lawrence County IDA or do you do
No,
pilots
well,
internally or?
The pilots,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Host community benefit goes through our,
Yep.
our attorney.
Yeah, we're more than happy to do one of those too. Yeah.
I don't agree with going through the IDA, but that's.
You don't like doing business with the local cartel?
It's all kinds of opinions.
Yeah, he's thinking about what to say. Don't leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Don't,
Don't say it.
I know, they all-
Bring him down. This is all recorded.
That's the only thing I don't like, the percentages.
Oh, they don't favor the town at all. You guys end up
No.
getting like 13-14%
Yeah.
the mill rate. Most of it goes to the county and the school district,
Yeah,
right?
that's an interesting deal.
You get more?
Can
You
you,
less? Oh.
so can you do
We're
a deal
definitely
with
gonna
us
do this.
directly and not, and cut those two out?
And your attorney and our attorney can discuss.
We'll give you more than 8. We'll give you 9.
that's big of you.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think our next thing is for you to, I'll shoot you an email with the contact of our solar attorney and
Okay.
your attorney and him can have a discussion.
Okay,
That's where we should, our next.
yeah, that sounds good.
Along with
Check
letting
that
us know
out.
if we're gonna touch the county
Right.
or not.
Where the ag
Those are the
district
two.
is,
Yeah,
What's that at?
along with where the ag district
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
yeah. Now, when it comes to taxation, the way that we've done it before is, yeah, we do the IDA pilots. There's totally a route we could take. So you end up having to pay the IDA like $350,000 just to put some paperwork together. We'd rather, at that point, we'd rather get taxed, you know, as the assessed rate and then put that money into an HCBA for you guys. You know, to keep it out of the IDA's hands.
The lawyers can talk about all that, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. I mean, I've exhausted all that I want to talk about here today.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah,
giving
you
us the
guys
time.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. Where should we go to dinner?
So you got the Best Western and you got 11 East, right?
West.
West.
Eleven West?
Those are two closest.
Okay.
Is Sergi's open?
Oh, Surgeon's is right here.
How much do you wanna spend?
I don't know if they're open.
And we wanna get on the road, so.
Did you wanna go over and look at the land?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you wanna do that?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, we gotta go do
check
that
out.
and then go eat and then. get
So
over
Surgeon's
where
is
the
right
snow-
across the road
Oh,
here,
Surgeon's is
Italian
right here?
restaurant, right
Right,
there.
pull up.
If they're
open.
There's some
Like
Asian,
Parmesan?
there's a Chinese takeout right across the road here too.
Oh, Cantonese, of course, it needs to be Cantonese.
So they might-
Yeah, then you-
Some
that was
people
why-
don't, some people don't like it, but I do.
Okay.
Do they call folks within Canton Cantonese or Cantonites or?
Cantonians.
Cantonia.
Oh, like Hamiltonians, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Appreciate it.
thanks for coming.
Thanks for
We'll look
coming.
For your email and tell us what we're doing.
It says Sergi's is open today,
It is?
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys.
till 9.
Go get your feet
Travel
wet.
safe.
Drive safe.
Thank you very much.
That would be true.
Thank you.
Take care.
Any other new business?
Well, this project on Minor Street. And then there's possibly another one on Minor Street, up the road, across from Taylor Park, the Hunting Club. They had a discussion, their attorneys and Mr. Buchanan and myself had a discussion last week via teleconference about their project.
How big is that one, Mike?
2 5 megawatts.
2 5.
Two, Oy,
Um,
kind of like that
again,
east-west concept we had before.
unfortunately, with their site. Well, one, they have to get a use variance, and two, they're talking about. Clearing
Hmm.
10 acres of trees. I kind of,
Whose land is it?
help me, John,
Well, Brian Staples and Ted Lawrence and there might be a couple other guys
the
involved.
hunting club on, the address is Seneca Falls, so
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's in back of Tom Woodside's place.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes over towards, the dairy farm, and I think it probably even touches close to the solar project, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Right in there. If you go on, you go out of town, you go past the old, the place where people used to eat, the restaurant, that's an old Erie's Funeral Home. It'll be, on the-
McCarthy's.
McCarthy's.
McCarthy's, it'll be on the left side, if you're going out of town, it'll be that area back there, back of that barn, the dairy barn there. What's his name?
Behind Huber's.
Yeah, Hubers.
See, both of these projects were on the
But-
EDF.
They were what?
Both were on the EDF original plan, but they were dropped,
Oh,
Yeah,
so.
that's why I asked them how they came upon that, because I know Wilfred was talking to the EDF guys, and then they dropped
And
it.
Wilford was also talking to another developer a couple years ago. But, other than that, that's it, Ian,
okay.
you know,
So what about this 10% reduction here? We've never seen that. These are the guys that really.
Oh, I've
talk about
heard
it.
community solar batted around an awful lot.
I know, but
You
it's
get,
never,
you get it in your light bill all the time. You get.
Yeah.
You get whatever's
you get
good
the
offers. you know.
solicitation. on it,
Yeah,
but-
solicitation.
And he's talking about coming right here to the town of Canton, arranging it. None of the other developers said that.
No,
What are the other projects doing? How are they going? The ones that are,
4 completed.
what about Mead Road?
Mead Road should be completed end of this month.
Wow.
They stopped for the winter.
so that would make 5.
That would make 5, yeah,
And Nickerson pulled out.
Yes.
temporarily.
Oh,
You think they're
Somebody
gonna-
called me last week. They're looking at that property again.
Oh,
The same company or
No,
different?
company.
Well, they would have to go from scratch
They'd have to
then.
go right from scratch, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the other 2 projects haven't started. Old DeKalb Road and Highway 310.
Yeah.
See any reason for us to schedule a next meeting or is it's a wait and see at this point?
I would probably put it on the calendar, to be honest with you,
Okay,
because something's gonna come out.
okay.
yeah, get the greases, get the wheels rolling again, the solar wheels.
first Monday or Tuesday in May.
First Monday in May. 6 o'clock.
Sounds good to me, Ian.
Wow, 5. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Okay.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Great job, Betsy.
Sheep, Betsy, sheep.